Apple Watch reviews are out this morning. We also got the news that Apple will be holding yet another event entitled Unleashed on Monday, where new MacBook models are expected to be the star of the show. Let's bring in John Gruber of the Daring Fireball Tech blog. John, thanks for joining us. Before we talk about the new watch or what to expect next week, first, tell us what you expect in terms of these supply chain issues. How much do you think Apple's prepared for them, and how much do you think they're really going to be impacted?
I think they're prepared, but I just did a spot check before this morning after publishing my watch review, and the new Series 7 watches, if you order the aluminum models now, the delivery date is already today out November 19 to 29, and like the titanium model, which is $800, November 29th to December 6th already. So that's going to make it tight for the holiday quarter. I mean, for people who are looking to get these for Christmas and the other holidays, it is already tight. And I don't know about you, but for me, before Halloween, I'm not thinking about buying Christmas gifts for people. But if you're thinking about buying an Apple Watch, you better order soon.
Yeah, that's a little concerning. I hadn't started even thinking about holiday shopping yet, John. But what about the phones in particular? That is such an essential piece of the holiday equation for Apple.
It seems like the phones are in better supply. I know that there's the news today that they've cut the production, and it seems like that's just based on what they can make as opposed to demand. But iPhone 13, the shipping date right now is October 25th to 28th. 13 Pro, November 11th to 18th. So about a month out if you want an iPhone 13 Pro, right? And you ordered right now today. So that's obviously not what they want. But I don't know what, I if anybody can manage it, it's Apple and Tim Cook and their supply chain. But it's very different than any year I can remember.
John, I wonder what you make of some of the arguments from the street today. And that is, all right, for a consumer who wanted it in time for the holiday, that might be troublesome. But in the medium term, the demand doesn't necessarily go away. In the words of Morgan Stanley, it's not perishable, and any supply shortage shouldn't impact valuation. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. Maybe the watch in particular might be a little bit more holiday gift sensitive, but for phones, people who need a phone, if they need to wait, they'll wait. And if they get it in January instead of December, they're going to do it. So I'm not as concerned long term, if any, for the phone. The watch, it's a little bit trickier, especially because they don't sell so many varieties. They really, right now, with the new lineup, only sell the new Series 7 watch, the Apple Watch SE, and the Series 3 watch. So if you want a new one, you're really looking at a tight supply chain.
John, let's talk about this Unleashed event coming up. I think it's interesting, not necessarily for the product itself, because it's probably a high-end laptop that's not going to be major top-line growth, though the margins are probably pretty nice. But what chip we get inside it? Is it called an M1X, and does it extend Apple's story about performance and battery life in this heterogeneous computing era that maybe Intel and AMD are going to have to react to?
With the name, I don't put any stock into the rumors that it'll be called the M1X. It might be, but as far as I know, nobody had the M1 name a year ago. These Mac chips, Apple seems to be able to keep under wraps much tighter than they can iPhone supplies, just because the quantities are so much lower. So who knows what it's going to be called? But I sort of feel like calling it the M1X would imply a subtle improvement over last year's M1s, whereas the machines that Mac users are waiting for, these truly professional MacBook Pros and maybe bigger iMacs that are meant for pros. And I also don't like to read too much into Apple's little hints with their invitations, but calling this one Unleashed seems to me to suggest that they are going to wow the industry with the performance of these chips. So I'd worry less about the name. Let's hear what Apple wants to call it. But I expect very, very impressive performance that is going to put even more pressure on Intel and AMD.